So what are we all ultimately seeking in this life? Peace and happiness. When we get down to it, that's why we do anything in life. Peace and happiness. We want to be happy. We want to be at peace. We want to feel okay with life. And in this video, I'm going to discuss what brought that about in my life. Whether you're from a religious background, spiritual background, or materialist paradigm. I'm hoping to cater to everyone in this video. Now, a little bit about me. I grew up a Christian. A young boy, a Christian. You're told to do this, told to do that because it's the right thing to do. And I got it. I thought, okay, if you do the right thing, if you're a good person, you get some benefits later, you go to heaven or whatever. But the thing is, when you're a young boy, well, doesn't have to be a boy, does it? Maybe a young woman too. You start looking at the world and people not following these kind of teachings and think, they're not following this and look how much fun they're having. Fun, money, possessions. And you think, I want happiness. Look how happy they are. These teachings aren't making me happy. So in any case, I went from Christianity at a certain point into atheism. Didn't give me happiness. I thought, we're born, we're living, we're gonna die. This is a cold, dark universe. You might as well just try to get whatever happiness you can from this life, and that's it. Didn't make me happy. Stumbled into Buddhism, then ultimately Advaita Vedanta. Anyone not familiar with that term? It's basically a Hindu philosophy, which is basically saying the fundamental nature of reality is one and the same fabric. And the whole goal is to realize that. It will be like thinking you're a wave in the ocean, focused on other waves. That wave's smaller, that wave's bigger. Look at that whirlpool, look at those bubbles. Focusing on the names and forms, but not seeing the underlying reality, which is water. So that's all Advaita Vedanta is basically trying to get you to see. This reality is made of the one and the same fabric. And when you realize this gave me the why of Christianity. I used to think, why be a good person? Why do the right thing? Why not desire from the world? Why? Because I might be able to go to heaven? I was very skeptical. But these teachings gave me the why. Once this knowledge was anchored in my intellect and I could see the one appearing as many intellectually, it gave me the why. It would be like a wave realizing, if I'm all water, why am I desiring other waves? Why am I avoiding whirlpools? See what I'm saying? It's all made of the same fabric. In other words, it makes you realize the nature of your mind is peace. All these desires disturb the peace, irritates the mind. That gave me the why. I'm like, I don't want to disturb mind. I thought getting the things will calm down the mind. But no, what's happening is the fact that you're desiring in the first place is irritating the mind. Then all these teachings of Christianity made sense. And there's a book, The Imitations of Christ, where there's a part in this book where Christ is giving some advice to a disciple, I think it was. The 4 practices we need for inner peace, which is seek less rather than more, seek to be last rather than first, seek to do the will of others above your own, and always remember everything is happening according to God's will. Why would you do that? Because what do we do in the West, Western culture in general? The opposite. We want more rather than less. We want to be first rather than last. We want people to do our will. And when things happen in life, we can't accept it. We don't have time for problems. Notice how this is all irritating our mind. Constant desiring, constant control, constant craving of the world irritates the mind. This is why in the Imitations of Christ, he recommended try to be happy with less. Try to be happy with others going ahead. Try to be happy doing the will of others rather than your own. And always remember, this is ultimately God's will. This is God's show. Which leads me into, like I said, the Advaita Vedanta knowledge gives you the why. It is the one appearing as many. Every time you're desiring, you're irritating your mind. And this leads back to the devotional mindset. I knew this stuff for many years intellectually, but I didn't feel it. Here's the thing, guys. You're so full of love. What we're really seeking in this world is to let out all this love. Now, there's a smart way to do it and a bad way to do it. We, by default, do it the bad way. Every time we seek happiness in drugs, sex, alcohol, what are we really doing? What we're really seeking is, we don't want to feel separate. We feel separate, and when we indulge in all these things, and I'm not saying for you to stop it. I'm not here preaching what you should and shouldn't do. I'm just giving you the reasons why it doesn't work. Every time you go after these desires, you feel temporary happiness. For instance, there's a desire for sex, drugs, alcohol. That's a contraction. You get the thing, your mind relaxes, you're at peace again. Then the next desire emerges for the same thing, and usually stronger. I want that thing even more now. You get it, relaxed. Basically, like I said, I'm not preaching on what you should be doing with your life, but it just makes you realize it's not me not getting what I want that's the problem, it's the wanting in the first place. And these things just provide temporary happiness, but then reinforce the habit of wanting them again and again. And at a certain point, you can't get enough, and at a certain point, something will prevent you from getting it, and you're going to be bitter and resentful, suffering to the mind. This is why I said, guys, this isn't about some moral talk. It's about ending your suffering. And like I said, I could clearly see this non-dual reality as they speak about in Advaita Vedanta, the one appearing separate, but I didn't feel it. And this is where all this God talk came back into my life. And look, guys, if you aren't into the teaching of spirituality or God, you're just a materialist. You think you were born, living, and to die. These teachings can help you so much too, because they're very logical and practical. Because they're working on, again, your mind, giving you a calm, peaceful mind. And what is the teaching I found most beneficial? Remembering I did not ask to be here. I don't remember asking to be here. I was at peace. It's almost like before your birth, you're a movie screen with no movie playing, a blank. All of a sudden, this movie has emerged called life. And in the devotional way of speaking, this is God's world, God's people, God's creation. This body was made from God too. The materials this world is made from is God's. What I'm getting at is, the reason we suffer is we're claiming things that were never ours to begin with. You didn't make this world. You didn't make this body. You didn't make the materials this body's made from, or this reality is made from. You've just imagined yourself as owning things, controlling things. It's all God's will too, by the way. This is what's causing you suffering. And this is what made all these teachings complete for me. Non-duality gave me the reason why. Because if it's the one undivided reality, why am I thinking I'm a wave trying to get happiness from another wave? It doesn't make sense. But the feeling of love, we want to feel love, don't we? How do we feel love? Devotion, service, surrender to this reality. That is, at the fundamental level, you anyway. An outpouring of love. This ego has so much love in its heart, which it tries to release in, like I said, drugs, sex, alcohol. But what it really wants is to break out of this small self and be poured out into the bigger self. Swami Vivekananda had a great quote. He said, "Give and never look back. Love that gives without expecting anything in return grows day by day and ultimately becomes boundless." This is why, whether you're spiritual, religious, or an atheist, being a good person is so beneficial. The less you think about this little self and devote it to the bigger self, the more you think about others, the more outpouring of love into this creation, the better you're going to feel as this person. What gets us into trouble is thinking, I do so much. Why do people screw me over? I do so much. What have they done for me? Because you're not giving from the place of unconditional love. You're giving, wanting something in return. And look, I've done that too. It's natural. But what I'm saying is, once you truly recognize this world has nothing to do with me, God's world, God's creation, God's body. You didn't need to be here for yourself. You're here for God. You're here to do a job. When you're no longer required, that's the time of your death. God has created this body as an instrument, uses it for its purposes, then discards it, breaks it down when it's no longer required. You can relax. Life is living life. The only reason you're not relaxing is you really think, I'm this person living a life, I own things. You're getting angry because this reality isn't how you want it to be. But stop claiming things that is not yours. And that's what I'm saying, guys. Whether you're religious, an atheist, or spiritual, this will help you so much. Regardless of what you think is happening next life, or if there is any life at all after death, these teachings give you peace and happiness here and now. End your suffering here and now. So you can't lose. Being a good person, a genuinely good person that's not doing it to get things, you can't lose in this life or the next. That's my personal opinion. That's what I found. And I hope this helps you guys. Until the next video, take care, eh? See ya.